And this afternoon's calls of supporters and delegates have besieged the New Patriotic Party's headquarters in their numbers, actually, in a charged atmosphere as the Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Bawumia, filed his nomination forms to contest the party's presidential race. The Vice President becomes the second amongst 10 other aspirants that are filling nomination forms to contest. We know that he comes after former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo-Tremantin, who did that earlier this week. Now, Dr. Bawumia is in the race, as you see on your screens there. A jubilant crowd, obviously chanting his name and, of course, urging the Vice President on to that contest that we're looking up to. There'll be a super delegates conference to sieve the number and to trim it down to 5. Then afterwards, we'll have a wider contest, which will then decide who becomes the next leader of the New Patriotic Party. So what are the chances of Dr. Bawumia and why is he in this race? I want to bring in now Dr. Kabiru Mahama, who's joining us after a very hectic day. I can see it's all telling on your face, but you say that your signal is still strong. I'm just wondering why you're using that ideology of a signal, as we've seen Dr. Bawumia post on his Facebook wall.
Yeah, so thank you very much, and good afternoon to you and your cherished viewers. As you rightly mentioned, the Vice President filed his nomination form, submitted same, and the Vice President came out with a very strong signal, the signal of a grassroots support, a signal of change within the NPP for the better, a signal that everybody can get connected to. So when you listen to the campaign adverts prior to this particular launch, there was a question of whether you have already connected, and everyone seems to say that you are connected. So I think that it's a signal of a grassroots campaign, a signal of people of different walks of life, and the Vice President actually connected very well with the people who came out to support the filing.
I see 120 MPs declaring their support for the Vice President. Was that intentional? Did the Vice President move to them, or this is just a natural gravitation towards the Vice President to say, we support your decision to contest the race?
You see, when you have support that is organic, when you have the support of the grassroots, and if you look at the history of the NPP, from the time of J.A. Kufuor, even in the Fourth Republic, to President Nana Addo Dankwa, when the people, when the grassroots is speaking, I mean, everyone has to follow. So these 120 MPs, a minimum will follow. They are just responding to the natural tendencies of the people they represent. Some of them feel like, look, we are not representing ourselves. We are representing people of various constituencies, and what the people want is what we also want. So the Vice President had earlier on hinted or informed them of his intention, but prior to even informing them, most of them had even come to declare their support for the Vice President. So I think that the support is organic. The Vice President has not induced any of them. They are men and women of good senses and judgment and reason. They have risen up to the occasion. They know that with the Vice President, the potential of the NPP to break the 8 and for us to retain in power is very high. And every member of Parliament will want the NPP to continue in power, at least for the next 8 years.
He says it is possible, signifying that he admits, first of all, that there is a challenge when it comes to the brand Dr. Bawumia. He would first of all have to satisfy delegates of the party who've watched him lead the NPP's administration over the years. Are you confident that Dr. Bawumia is a brand that can sell even amongst the rank and file of the party?
Yeah, so the Vice President's words of it is possible that herald the campaign or the launch or the submission and filing of the form is not to suggest that the brand Dr. Bawumia is a difficult brand to sell, and that to put him before the delegates and before the Ghanaian public is difficult to brand him. He's just creating the sense of Ghanaians to the effect that whatever we put our minds with the energy of the Ghanaian people behind, we are capable of being a devolved country like any advanced country. He's coming with that leadership to be the driver of the car that is going to send us to our destination. So that is the whole atmosphere where it is possible. But if you look at all the people who have picked up nomination, 10 or 11 people together, or Vice President included, all of them are men of, they are noble men, they are people who have worked for the NPP party, but there is one who stands among them, who stands tall, and the Vice President is obviously that chosen one. And he has been there. He has got this experience. He has supported the president in the last 6 years and to the 8 years of his tenure. The vice president has actually led and spearheaded certain transformational agenda, including innovative and policy-based interventions within the country. And the vice president being the architect of most of these policies, and the president having absolute confidence in the vice president. There is no other better person to represent the people moving forward than the vice president. And our sense is that we will need a candidate we can market. We will need a candidate who aligns very well with the youth of the party. We will need a candidate who understands the problem of the country. We need a president who will be able to continue with the foundation the president has built, so that we can leapfrog our country to a state that we all desire. So the vice president fits in all these particular, he has ticked all the boxes, and I think that there's no better candidate. As we start, members of parliament will confess that, look, if you do not like Bawumia, but you like the power, and you are not just supporting the vice president because of aside his sterling personal character and qualities, we also, the desire of the members of the NPP fraternity to win power is the most cardinal and guiding principle.
Well, you believe that he's checked all the boxes. There are some arrears for him to settle because he equally made promises to the people of Ghana, which he has to, first of all, redeem. And even amongst your rank and file, he would have to go through the super delegates conference, which will trim down the number to 5. Given the fact that he has not crossed, first of all, that bridge, is it not early days yet to be confident that this is a man that could lead the party?
You see, the NPP is a party that believes in multi-party democracy. Unlike other parties, they would have just said it's a popular acclamation, so let's let the vice president go unopposed for us to save resources in order to go and face the main battle. But believing that it's a party that believes in diverse ideas, the vice president is, and the members of the NPP are tolerant of that particular view, and they are allowing the process. We have to face the special electoral college, and the special electoral college will trim the number within the context of Article 12.
What if they kick off Bawumia at that point?
That possibility is far remote. It's really? Far remote in the sense that you can tell from the numbers that came out, you can tell from the euphoria of the NPP member, the market women, street.
And I'm just taking a look at the picture here. Are you saying all these people are organic? They matter to the NPP?
All these people who are here,
you are not bossed by people.
Most of them were not. In fact, we have diaspora coming. I don't see how the vice president will start a campaign by start bossing people, buying air ticket for people from the diaspora to come.
Are you sure about this?
I'm very confident about it. I have met a lot of people who were on the ground. They never had any invitation. No one brought them to the venue, but they were there. Most of the people who came around, they had no invitation whatsoever, but they just heard the vice president was coming to file his nomination, and the vice president being someone they support organically. They are.
And you're stressing on that word.
I'm stressing.
This wasn't staged.
It wasn't staged. And I remember even prior to this day, most of you journalists were waiting for this day. You were waiting for this day because the vice president had kept everyone in suspense. The campaign team for the vice president had not been engaging the media because we wanted the vice president to formally launch the campaign. And with the filing and submission of the form, the campaign has this fully loaded and we are ready to move. That will now unearth. And you remember at the program, the vice president gave us a gist of his vision for Ghana. And that vision is what he's going to campaign on. He's a man with with his own vision for Ghana, which he stated there. But he's going to build on the successes of the NPP, led by the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. These are two things the vice president is going to hold on to: the record of the NPP and what he intends to add on to.
Okay, and since you're talking about that, let's get to that controversial statement then. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia indicating that, quote, I have my own vision for Ghana. It's as though he's running away from his predecessor and trying to suggest that, well, we've not done too well in the past 6 years.
No, Nana Addo Dankwa came into this presidency with a vision. He only called Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to support that vision, right? The president, Nana Addo Dankwa vision was very clear, even in opposition, to make sure that we industrialize our country, to make sure that we are able to have inclusive development. Never in the judgment or in the president's own vision did he trumpet the need for us to have a digitalized economy.
Okay, but
the vice president came in and
why will you serve in a vision you don't believe in?
Not that you never believe in that. I mean, it's one thing believing in someone's vision. For instance, let me bring it back to our level.
Yeah.
If Joy FM calls me and say that we believe in free and fair reporting,
right,
and I equally believe in that, and the person brings me to align to that vision and I'm supporting it,
right,
that is not to say that I do not have a twist to that particular vision, which are all leading us to the same destination. It's not mutual.
But the belief is that the vice president is finding a safe spot to escape all the wrongs of the Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo stroke Bawumia ticket that ran the NPP for the last 6 years.
When you listen to the vice president,
he's basically running away from the
When you listen to the vice president has never, and he mentioned that whether in good times or in bad times, he has stayed with the party, he spoke for the party, he defended the party, he defended the president, he defended the cause of the NPP. If there's any single person...
And now he's running away from that same
administration. If there's any single person in this particular government who has stood up to the records of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be the #1 person. Now, he is going to campaign on the back of those records, right, because he said, despite the economic challenges we have had, despite the problem we have with recent time with the economy, we have chalked a number of successes that have never been chalked by any government in 6 years, in the context of jobs creation, in the context of what they call formalizing the economy, in the context of making sure that we have accessibility and having care, a system for the poor and vulnerable, in the context of fighting a pandemic that has never been witnessed by the country in a century or never in his lifespan. Okay, the president came in with those challenges. The vice president was part of that government. The vice president was clear that despite those challenges, we are in that boat together, and I'm going to defend the records, and it is based on that records I am coming to consolidate. So the vice president never ran away, and he's not trying to run away from the records of the NPP or the president for that matter. But the vice president said, if you do not have nothing new to add to what is already going, then you have no business seeking to become the president of the Republic of Ghana. You better go off with the president. So it is the new things that he seeks to bring into board to consolidate against.
Why give him the opportunity to try the new when he's been given the opportunity to execute what was promised in the past? For the last 6 years, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia promised a stable economy. That's been thrown off gear. He admits that himself. And you're talking about digitalizing the economy. The president has never said on any occasion that, well, I'm stopping that vision. He's been giving the free hands to do that.
The point is that the president was given the mandate, and the vice president was asked to support that mandate. The vice president was never given a mandate.
Yeah, but he ran on the ticket of the party.
I mean, we all know that. But we know that the president is the president, is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, and the Constitution has provided his function as such. The vice president, aside the mention of certain one or two functions in the Constitution, the whole constitutional arrangement of the Republic is silent when it comes to the role of the vice president. So the vice president supports the vision, and he did that, the vision of the president. He did that honestly. He did that by dint of hard work. He did that with utmost faith in the president. But now he's seeking his own mandate, a mandate that he believes that I can bring something new to what the president has done, not elusive of the fact that the president has chalked a number of successes, and also there are some challenges. But I understand the challenges, and I can fix them more, because it is during our tenure that those challenges came up. Okay, so the vice president is not running away from the record. The vice president is defending the record of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The vice president will defend it any day, and is going to, based on those records, to seek another mandate, plus, and I stress, his own vision for the country, because his own vision is independent.
This vision that you're talking about, there's a need for us to even probe the vision that you're talking about, because would have to see if that even aligns in the first place with what it is that Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been trumpeting over the past 6 years. Let's first of all listen in to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia when he made that address earlier today.
Scores of supporters and delegates besieged the NPP's headquarters in a charged atmosphere as the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, came to file his nominations for the party's presidential race. The Vice President becomes the second among the 10 other aspirants to file nomination after former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Chamantin filed his earlier this week. Speaking to Joy News, some of the delegates and supporters of the NPP who came from different regions said they believe in his competence, a reason they are supporting him.
Basically, I'm here today to support the cause of His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for one reason, and by extension, his generosity to so many people in the society.
I'm coming from Ningo Pram Pram. I'm supporting Vice President because to me, I think he's the only one who can beat the MDC boot to boots.
We are supporting the Vice President because he's the only person that can carry Ghana where we want it to be, inshallah. Because when you look at the digitalization and all the things that he has in mind, it's a whole package. Bawumia is for the whole nation. He wants to take Ghana beyond our imagination. That's why we support him.
I am from Domiabra, Obum constituency. Yeah, I'm a constituent secretary. Yeah, I'm here to support Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia because I know he's the best person. He's the person to break the 8 with. That is why I'm supporting him.
The entourage of the Vice President included 120 NPP MPs led by the Majority Chief Whip and MP for Nsawam Eduejiri, Frank Anodompre. Some of the MPs who spoke included Hawa Kumsin, Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Kwoti, impressed upon the delegates to endorse Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the elections because he has a track record to lead the party and maintain power in 2024. Although there have been concerns about sitting MPs endorsing presidential aspirants, Director of Elections for the NPP, Evans Nimako, said their actions do not contravene any provisions in the party's constitution.
The party has open nomination. The party is aware some interested parties are consulting the party rank and file. And so we are measuring them based on the party's constitution as well as the rules and regulations set out by the National Council.
So are there bridges or not? The MPs openly declaring?
What we are saying is that for those who do not have direct role in the conduct of the elections, nothing bars them from supporting any candidate, any prospective candidate. They become candidates when they've been passed by the vetting committee and National Council. So far, nothing has come before me, and I'm not aware of any petition before the Okwes committee. We will leave that, but we are hoping that their conduct will not infringe upon the party's constitution as well as the rules and regulations set out by the party.
Meanwhile, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in his address to party supporters, indicated his filing of nomination is the first step of victory for the NPP, while asking Ghanaians not to vote the NDC back to power again.
Impossibilities and make the unimaginable possible. It is possible to break the 8 in order to continue with the transformational policy we have started. It is possible. And that is why I am offering myself in all humility to contest in the primaries of this phenomenal party, the great new patriotic party, to become our flag bearer and presidential candidate for 2024. And inshallah, the President of the Republic of Ghana.
The governing NPP will close nominations by 24th June. The remaining 9 aspirants therefore have a week to file nomination or risk be removed from the race. Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
Okay, then we don't have a confirmation if the others will go through. Just a few more days for them. But Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, quite confident about his victory. I'm just wondering what this plan you were talking about earlier is and why he says he has his own vision. What's top on the agenda for Dr. Mahmoud?
Yeah, the Vice President mentioned a gist of that vision, and he was quick to add that that was just a gist because as the days go by, he will have the opportunity to present a comprehensive and detailed manifesto to back the bid that he's going to make for the presidency. The Vice President stated that he is intending to make Ghana a digital hub of Africa. That is a vision. He's thinking that we must have introduced technology, introduced science and data into our agricultural practices, where irrigation and science and data are going to be the drivers or the determinants of how agriculture is practiced in the country. That is his vision. The Vice President has mentioned that, in fact, he gave a very good story, a story of how he started his life. He never had it easy. from the Sakasaka JSS to Tamale Secondary School, where he had to work as a by-day, worker in order to fend for himself. He understands the life of the poor. He understands the life of the homeless. He understands the life of lepers. He understands the life of people with sickle cell. He understands the life of people with, cancer. These are different group of people. So he is intending to build a digitized economy that is going to be inclusive in nature. The inclusiveness of the development process of the country is something that is keen on, because every person, someone on the street, has to be involved in the governance. And when you listen to him, he feels that we are comrades, we are people, we are family, we are friends, and you address them as well, my friends. Okay, that is the vision of the Vice President. The Vice President believes that Ghana can be able to do whatever we want to do and be able to compete favorably with advanced countries if we put our minds to it. And that desire, that particular conviction, that belief of the Vice President is what many at times will lack in this country in the form of leadership. If a leader has a clear vision, the vision belief in A, B, C, D, as he has outlined, the Vice President is capable of doing that, and that is what he wants to come on. But in the meantime, the Vice President will be launching after the primaries or after he becomes the candidate, which we know by the grace of God he would become. He will unveil a very comprehensive manifesto, and you will see the dichotomy between the previous NPP manifesto and his manifesto. We'll be able to see the transition between that previous manifesto and the current manifesto the Vice President will be leading.
Okay, so here's the question. What is it that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been seeking for so long to have political power to do in the next 4 years or 8 years as he's seeking for, that he couldn't have done in the last 6 years, giving the opportunity as, first of all, Ghana's vice president? And he touts the ability of the men he's worked with over the years as the chair of the economic management team. What else? Which other opportunities are you looking for?
This question is a very important question, because someone, and I've answered it, maybe you're asking the same question in a video where I've answered it, that the vice president had the opportunity as the vice president. And
what's that supposed to mean, by the way?
What that's supposed to mean is that, and the vice president has never ever, run away from the fact that he is the most visible vice president this country has ever had. Yeah. And we all admit that the vice president record as a vice president of the Republic of Ghana is the most comprehensive, the most active vice president whose successes people can directly point to, that he is a champion of ABC.
But that's not the import of my question. The question is, he's been giving more than 6 years. You have 8 years. Why is he looking for 8 more to do?
I'm coming to that. So you ask yourself, if someone has been given a role as a spare driver, or if you're given as a supportive, a supporter of the president, and is able to lead A, B, C, D, imagine that he's been entrusted with the constitutional mandate to carry on policies and programs without recourse to anyone. Okay, because anything the vice president will do as a vice president must be with recourse to the president. Okay, you cannot do anything within our constitutional arrangement without falling back on the president. Okay, the president has given the opportunity, most of the suggestions, but there's still more to come from the head of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. There are still more ideas. That one, you will need to get some institutional framework right. Two, you have the power of appointment, where you can appoint the right men and women that you feel comfortable working with in order to lead that particular project. The vice president is not a point of any person in the Republic.
President Akufo-Addo did not appoint the right
That is what I suggested. That's what I said. The success of President Nana Akufo-Addo is a reflection, and the true reflection of the capable men and women he has appointed.
I get that.
And the vice president will also come in with another set of a team that is seeking to work to develop the country. Okay, so the vice president, I'm not suggesting by any stretch of imagination that the president hasn't appointed in the first place. These current appointees are one of the most effective appointees the president has. He has assembled men and women of competence to lead the country. But the vice president will have another opportunity, okay, to probably do some substitution within the team, to probably replace the team.
So it could have been better.
It could have been better, and
So President Akufo-Addo could have appointed better appointees.
The president has done his best of appointment, and I cannot sit down here and take any single appointee out of the many appointees that the president has made. There are men who are capable, men with ability and competence.
So what else? What else is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia looking for?
You see, everything is about a vision.
Yes.
He has outlined it. I cannot, if you sit here as I mean, I just use your macro organization to always illustrate my point that what you believe Joy FM should be doing, it is your belief. Until you have opportunity in management or to become the owner of Joy FM or Joy News, you will not be able to effect all those. That's not to suggest that what you are heading to as a station is not the right destination, but the pace, the haste, the order, and everything associated with what we call the fairness of the administration of the government is something that I would manage differently if I was given the opportunity as the general manager of the station.
Okay, so give us that practical difference. And I'm asking this question because we know that, for instance, the reason for which he may not necessarily have to resign even before contesting these presidential primaries is because he's running a joint ticket, a constitutional advantage that's been given to him, which attaches him strongly to the executive president of the country. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia runs side by side, whether you like it or not, with President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. You cannot say that he's not been given the opportunity to transform and to push this agenda of digitization. We've heard that. That's why I'm asking what more, practically speaking, what one thing will you point to in this NPP administration that, well, if given the opportunity, he may change? Or, I mean,
in the first place, let me again reiterate that the vice president never came with his own vision for the country. He came with the vision of the president, to which he supported with utmost faith. He worked so hard to achieve the present vision, and that ended, and that's the end of that matter on the present vision. He is a man who says that, who has informed us today that he has his own vision, and that vision he has given us a gist of those of them I mentioned. One, the vice president stressed so much on the use of artificial intelligence, where our medical health service delivery, where our agriculture, where our education system is going to be anchored on artificial intelligence, science and data and technology. This is a total different vision, okay? A vision that says, I want to transform our economy from a gadgets-based economy was the anchor of President Nana Addo Dankwa's presidency, where he initiated several initiatives to achieving that. The vice president is not coming to jettison that. The vice president is saying that this was a good vision. The vision of the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, was a good vision. I'm coming to consolidate that, but I will need to add on. Otherwise, I have no business taking the mandate of the people of Ghana to become the president. And what I need to add is to add technology, science, and data to be sure that our country will be able to lift many farmers out of poverty. That is the vision of the vice president. And he mentioned categorically that he seeks to build a very digitized, informal, and inclusive economic development of the country. So that is the vision. The nitty-gritties of that vision, that we can pinpoint them when the details of that manifesto is unveiled.
Dr. Bawumia was touted as the economic wizkid. I'm using the word of the wife of the vice president, who was also present there today. You're moving from economy to digitization. It's as though you're, shifting the goalposts now.
It is people who lack the understanding of economic development and modern economic development and the history of economic development of economies and countries that will think that the vice president is shifting a goalpost from being an economic wizkid to being an ICT expert. Right. Far back before the vice president even became the vice president of the republic, he had written a book where he had stated categorically that the need for us to use technology in the pursuit of economic development, in the pursuit of inclusive growth, is a sine qua non. In other words, the vice president was very clear in his mind, even before he had the opportunity to even serve the people of Ghana as the vice president, that technology and economic development are not mutually exclusive. They are interwoven, they are mutually inclusive, and they are bedfellows. The vice president was clear on that. But for one to say that the vice president is moving away from economic wizkid to an IT aspect is to lack the basis, to lack the understanding of how economies have transformed. The advanced economies, none of them has transformed. And we have the benefit of what you call technology, some of which we can take advantage of. The vice president is not shifting any goalposts, but he's just introducing the contemporary dynamics required contemporary measures in order to address emerging issues of your time. The vice president is abreast with that, and that is why he's coming with that. Even on the back of he being an economic wizkid, the country had, prior to the COVID, we had chalked unprecedented success in the economic front. The data is there for everyone to contest. And the vice president, even at the lecture, the very last lecture he had as Kaso Yesu Krom, he was very emphatic of the successes government had chalked before 2020 when we were hit by COVID. Okay, even on the back of COVID, there are certain successes that are still unmatched within the Fourth Republic. Okay, so the Vice President has never run away from the economy. The Vice President has been able to support the President to develop a very stable economy, and the resilience of the economy was not in doubt until every economy around the world, every economy without exception, was thrown out of the gear. Okay, because COVID was not expected, because Russia-Ukraine war has also gotten rippling effect on the economies of countries across the globe. So that is not something to associate with the Vice President's competence or incompetence. It is something that was purely exogenous, purely external, and the Vice President couldn't have predicted, and no economy was able to predict that COVID was coming to hit them.
Okay. You have 9 more names aside Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the race. If Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia doesn't make it through the extraordinary summit that you'd have to do to trim the numbers down to 5, you say you're confident you'll cross that, and doesn't eventually make it even onto the ballot, the very final one. Who will Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia be rooting for to lead as an alternative to his strong advocacy for technology and economic transformation?
We shouldn't plan on inefficiency, because when the moment you begin to plan on inefficiency, you are doomed to fail. The thinking of the impossibility is even in itself a deficiency. So the Vice President, there's no that alternative that the Vice President will never make it to become the first 5 or eventually winning the. So when we even start that issue, the foundations that were planning on inefficiency.
So he's winning at all costs?
The Vice President is going to win the election. In fact, at the very good cost for the people of the NPP and the Republic of Ghana.
But he's a politician. He's suffered defeat before. I recall 2012 spending quite a great deal of time in the Supreme Court. It tells him that there is background to the fact that you may try as a politician and lose your election. If he does lose, in that likelihood, you Dr. Kabiru, you know him so well. Who else would Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia be rooting out for?
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is not planning on inefficiency. The Vice President would go out, appeal to the people of the Republic, appeal to the members of the NPP, and all the members of the NPP, at least majority of them, will give him the backing. So the thinking of who to even support is out of the picture. Okay, the Vice President has never sat down to think of, in the event I don't win, that event, possibility of that event happening is far, far remote. In fact, it is 0% happening. If it was 0.1%, then the Vice President would have made provision that even though, okay, it's 0.1%, let me plan for it. But if something is 0, it is non-existent. So you don't even plan for something that is not in existence.
He's been an apprentice, quote and unquote, to President Nana Akufo-Addo. Is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia getting the blessing of the president, who's been subjected to a certain natural vow he made when he took over from John Ajay-Kunkufo as the leader of the New Patriotic Party, that the former Trade and Industry Minister, Alan Kojo Chermating, will come after him? Does Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have the blessing of the president?
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has got the blessing of every single stakeholder of the NPP.
Including the president?
Including the former president.
Including the
former president.
I'm talking about the president.
I'm saying every stakeholder in the NPP.
But my question is about President Nana Akufo-Addo.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying everyone. The Vice President, before picking the nomination, had consulted the President. He had consulted the Vice President, the former President. He had consulted members of Parliament. He has consulted, in fact, the only first person, and probably the last, because I'm not aware, who consulted the Council of Elders of the party. He has gone around the whole country, engaging opinion leaders, party stalwarts, engaging chiefs and the clergy and then the Muslim community. The Vice President is the only candidate among the 10 people coming out who have done extensive consultation. All these people, with no exception, has given their blessing to the Vice President. So it is not only the President who has blessed the Vice President to contest the former President of the Republic has equally blessed him, because he has seen a father figure in the former President J.A. and everyone who matters, except, of course, those people who are contested. And I'm even sure that if they were not contested, all of them would have even blessed.
My question is specific about President Nana Akufo-Addo. Is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia saying that the President of the Republic, and I want you to be categorical on that, the President of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, has endorsed him to run for president?
I'm saying the President of the Republic has given his blessing to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's decision to contest to become the president, inshallah, of the Republic of Ghana. That blessing has begun. But the president is a Democrat. He was fought elections. He won election on the back of competitive election. That is not to suggest that the president is not in support of the fact that people are coming to contest the vice president to becoming the, flag bearer of the new party. That's not to suggest that. But what I'm just suggesting is that the vice president has consulted him. He has given his blessing to it. That I have no doubt. As to whether who the president will go to and vote for, it is the decision of the president, which is not something that I can sit there to preempt. But I know that if the vice president, being the person he is, if he had not gotten the blessing of certain key stakeholders, he wouldn't have taken that decision he has taken. In fact, he did not take the decision to contest lightly. He took it as something about the future of this particular country, as the future of the NPP party, before he even took that decision. He was his banker. He brought into the government to serve a purpose. And he feels that that purpose has not been completed. And he's seeking to complete that process before another person can come in.
Okay. Your message to delegates of the party?
Well, I think the die is cast. And the vice president has submitted his form. He has filed his nomination form, where has got the endorsement of at least 10 people across the whole country. It suggests that every region, every community is represented. With the representation of every region, my only appeal to them is that the vice president, as he embarks from today, is meeting some delegates even today. As he embarks the campaign as the campaign starts today, my appeal to them is that, look, they should put the interests of the NPP first. They should put into the presidency someone who is capable of delivering on the good of all of us. They should put in someone who has the clear vision on the development. They should put someone with humility, someone who understands the life of the vulnerable as well as the rich, someone who can be the bridge between the poor and then the rich, someone who can be the bridge between the elderly and the young. That is the person we need. And all these qualities are found in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And my only appeal to them out there is that they should give Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia the chance, and we will never regret that decision we've made as an NPP and as a country.
Okay. Dr. Kabiru Mahama, I'm sure that we'll have this conversation again. It's just the beginning of a very long journey. Of course, we'll see what will happen in the coming days, but thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you very much for having us.